Thank you all for meeting us back here as Kobe and I will take you into game number 5. We got Echo Fox going up against OpTic Gaming. Time to turn to the starting lineups here. Selecting blue side, it's Echo Fox with Lorlo into the top lane here today. Mike Young in the jungle. Phoenix at mid with Apollo and Hakuo bottom lane and support with coaches Song and Tyler.
And competing against them on the red side, it's OpTic Gaming. In the top lane, Dokla, jungle Medios, mid Crown, bottom Arrow, support Big, and coaches Zabutine and Croissant on stage.
Now, in a meta that's shifting towards the Corki and the Azir that we've been talking about already today, we're starting to see OpTic have some troubles.
Yeah, it seems like they've deviated from their style a little bit. I would like to see them return to that winning playstyle, which was giving Crown the agency to split push, champions like Twisted Fate, alongside Medios. Medios has done a really good job this split of controlling a lot of the early jungle and supplementing Crown's success.
Well, on the other side of the match, we have Echo Fox, who are subbing out Solo, who has been one of their top performers so far in the games where they popped off, for their Academy top laner of Lorlo.
And Lorlo has had plenty of games on stage. And some games, even this split, subbing in. One of them was week 4 in a victory that they actually got over OpTic. So a great opponent to make that switch if they're thinking about pulling it back. That was one of the games if you need a little refresher on your memory. He played Aatrox. He did a really good job of playing around the team. And he was able to set up their second win of the split. Now, this is also the latest change that Echo Fox have made. Of course, Mike Young there on your screen was one of the most recent ones. So Echo Fox are looking for a lot of last-minute changes here to try and reverse their fortunes, climb back up the standings, and make a last-minute overhaul of the team.
And while Echo Fox sits at the bottom of the standings, I can't help but always feel like this team could have an ace up their sleeve. They've got 3 wins. Those 3 wins are Liquid, Cloud9, and OpTic during the part of the season where OpTic were on a win streak. So yeah, it's not like they've only beaten the teams right around them in the standings. They've taken down some of these top names, and I will never count them out just because they're at the bottom of the standings. They could always pull out that Echo Fox special and make something crazy happen. Let's see if they can do it here, as Irelia and Silas will be banned away. And I think OpTic might have watched a little bit of the last game, because they're saying, hey, Karma and Yuumi, nah, not in my game, not on my Rift.
Yeah, that's definitely annoying stuff to play against, right? The shields, and they even talked about it a little bit on the desk. Broken Blade talked about Karma. There's not a lot of great counter picks. You can do Rise, but even when Karma's behind, provides so much utility to the team in that 5-on-5 team fighting. It's very similar to the era of the Sonateric bottom lanes. Just comes from a different lane. You get shivers whenever it's mentioned.
Yeah, not a big fan of that one. And we'll see the Sona banned away here as well, as Echo Fox waste no time with their first lock-in, immediately grabbing Jarvan from Mike Young.
All right, they ban out the Sejuani and the Silas, then first picking the Jarvan. This is an all-in attacking the jungler trifecta right now. Basically, top 3 junglers for professional play. For the opinion of almost all professional junglers that I've talked to, Silas, Sejuani, Jarvan are the S tier. Everything else pushed below that. So Mike Young now has a little bit more agency in the early game. Jarvan is one of the ones with a lot of options. You can even red buff into a level 2 gank if you want to get really spicy and try and snowball one of your lanes. But he also defaults into a good front line, good utility, can set up team fights for you. So just brings so many different aspects to a full team composition.
And when we're talking about S-tier picks, we can't forget about the Lux, which did make it through the bans, so that one's going to be picked up first and foremost here for the side of OpTic Gaming, along with that Aatrox that we just still see so much of. Remember, this is 9.13. Champion still has his revive, and he's just not been shaken from his presence in professional play.
And this is actually the champion Lorlo used to defeat OpTic the last time these 2 teams played. So Dokla actually getting the counter pick this time around, steals it away. He'll see, what about when the Aatrox is in my hands? Could be also switched to the jungle, technically, if Medios really wanted it, but we definitely don't think that will be likely. And Echo Fox seem to concur because they've picked up the very, very standard Kennen into Aatrox matchup where you get a little bit of CS lead early due to your range discrepancy.
And it was super weak this week in Academy, and I caught one of Echo Fox's Academy games where they did secure themselves a win off of some impressive Kennen play from the top lane. We'll see if they can repeat that here on the LCS stage, as they'll also pick up that Corki there in the mid lane. We've already commented so much on the state of Corki and Azir and how they are the staples there these days. Well, Phoenix will be on that Corki that we've seen him play plenty of times before.
Yeah, I mean, it just scales so well. A lot of long-range AP damage output. Meanwhile, some safety in the bottom lane to go along with the Lux. The double blondes bottom lane, Ezreal and Lux.
The lore duo.
The lore duo as well. That is a little bit surprising because most people would think you would want to pick up the Azir in answer to Corki. A lot of mid laners like taking that matchup. You can make small adjustments to your rune choices and build path.
But I also like the possibility they could just be leaving last pick of the entire draft for Crown to set him up for those win conditions you were talking about. Let the man play around the entirety of the rest of the Rift.
Exactly. Like we talked about in the intro, that has been one of the things that has led to a lot of the losses for OpTic. They've deviated from how they found success early on in the split, which was splitting the map when you're actually in game. See if they have any of those blockers here. Echo Fox do go for the kind of common ban there, which would be the Azir, taking that one out. But since OpTic didn't pick it up in their first round of picks, like you, I don't think they had planned on going for it. They would much rather give Crown something with a little bit more independence.
I also like Echo Fox banning it away, though, just thinking, okay, maybe if they get to last pick and they feel like Crown doesn't have anything that he's super passionate about playing this game, that he would default to the Azir, take that away as an option anyway. Final ban will be that Twisted Fate, which we have seen Crown play before to great effect. So that one's off the table. Expecting OpTic Gaming to go for a jungler here. What are we going to see Meteos on this time around? You already mentioned the big three being out of the way through either bans or having already been picked. Or are they going to save the jungle for last pick and instead grab Crown the mid laner in Zoe? And that's what they're going to do.
All right, Crown has had some very successful games on the Zoe. It does rely a lot on getting those powerful picks through the mid game to really find success, though, because Zoe's damage output can be very big and spiky, but it is not as consistent as the Corki and Azir's for a team fight. The DPS over the course of a team fight, not quite the same. It's much more about getting the picks with your Sleepy Trouble bubble and the burst damage from landing your paddle stars. That, in conjunction with Ezreal, lines up OpTic with a fairly nice poke composition. You throw out bindings from Lux, Sleepy Trouble bubbles from the Zoe, and you try and poke them down before you go for your hard engage. And then in the end, we do get the classic for Meteos. He is one of the best Olaf jungles in the LCS still today.
But my one concern here, looking at this composition from OpTic Gaming, the go buttons, the engage tools are incredibly limited. You have pick tools through a Lux binding or a Sleepy Trouble bubble.
It's basically a reactive alarm that goes off. For like, oh, we hit one of the bindings or we hit one of the bubbles. Now you get to go.
Right, but there's no, all right, it's 5v5, we're all just standing here, it's time to engage. There's just not that potential on the OpTic squad. When you look at Echo Fox, you've got Rakan, you've got Kennen, you've got Jarvan. It is so much easier for this team to say, hey, we're fighting now.
Definitely true. A lot more consistent engage on their side. So it's up to OpTic to hit their skill shots as we head into the rematch, Echo Fox versus OpTic.
Remember, OpTic started off 4-0 at the beginning of this split. Their strength of schedule gave them some very manageable matchups early on. They succeeded in all of those. Stumbled a little bit when they went up against the other top contenders in the LCS, but then have still managed to maintain this even record so far. And a lot of people are looking at this team now to still stay in shape here during these last few weeks of play and continue on, keep that playoff spot, and see what they can do in the postseason.
All right, Echo Foxes themselves have made quite a few adjustments to their lineup to end up with this iteration in the last few weeks of the LCS. See if it pays off. They won the first matchup. See if they can make it 2-0.
All right, on to Summoner's Rift we go. Okay, no, we don't. Well,
and
we are
back
paused.
to the studio we come.
Yes, sir. That was a quick trip to Summoner's Rift. I hope you all enjoyed seeing it out the window as we drove right by and then back into the garage. So now we're here. We've got a little bit of time to wait. I'll update you guys as soon as we figure out exactly what is going on with the pause, what sort of an issue we might have. Hopefully it's resolved rather quickly. I'm actually already seeing players typing R in the chat, so they're ready. Apparently it must have just been some very small issue, and we can get back into game.
I am expecting OpTic to actually group up for a level 1, by the way. So a lot of the times when you're heading in, looking at the team compositions, you have to ready yourself based on the level 1 abilities of some of your opponents. Olaf and Lux are two things that send off that little alarm. And you go, oh my goodness, Like that level 1 cues from Olaf, the undertow, you pick your axe right back up, you could have consistent slows. Not a lot of champions can deal with that. So that alone gives you power, but also the added threat of Big here on Lux, leveling up the light binding signals. There are definitely some tools for OpTic to make an early move and see if they can get some vision down, or in the best case scenario, actually find a pick.
And remember, one of the things that makes Lux so strong is the fact that her Q is a 1-point wonder. It has a 2-second binding duration at level 1, and Apollo flashes out of the way of it to make sure he stays alive, but man, that one was close for Echo Fox.
Yeah, smart there from Apollo. You have to save your flash to guarantee the most important skill shot is dodged, and that is the light binding from Lux. That is the one that roots you there. But Meteos, the undertow, we were just talking about Olaf. As soon as he lands one of those axes, you are in big trouble, level 1, and that is going to be an area that they can try and exploit. OpTic here have invaded, burned the flash from Apollo, and they're sticking around for a red buff steal.
Echo Fox are walking towards this. They don't just want to concede it, but if Apollo walks towards the brush, nice ward over the wall from Hakuo to find out, yes, OpTic is still waiting around here. We see Arrow and Meteos. If you see the AD carry, the support is also likely still around. Crown is also here. This could turn bloody very quickly, Kobe. Phoenix in some trouble. The binding doesn't hit him, though. Comes up just a little bit shy there. Phoenix almost taken down. They get him with the auto attack, and first blood goes to OpTic Gaming. Red buff as a prize.
All right, that's not the most important skill shot because Big is able to land the most important auto attack. And
not even a skill shot.
That is the last one that lands before the flash. So even though Phoenix flashes, he still dies to first blood. That is what you call a successful invade, Captain Flowers.
Okay, that's what we'll call it. Let's take another look at it.
Yeah, Phoenix takes a very dangerous route here. He goes this way, and that's right into the rest of the OpTic members. So Arrow and Meteos are landing all their skill shots, even though Big threw the light binding early. Those autos, once they're in the air, you cannot flash them to deny the damage unless you flash somewhere into the fog of war that the opponents cannot see. But since they chased him so far down the lane, they still had vision of Phoenix. There was nowhere safe for Phoenix to flash. So in the end, it is a summoner spell burned after they already gave up the kill. Now, Meteos does invade over that ward that they placed in the back behind a red buff, but there's nothing they can do about it. This is an Olaf on their strong side of the map, while Big and Arrow have pushed Apollo and Hakuo under the turret and are letting rip.
Right. You cannot afford to have Apollo and Hakuo abandon this big, massive minion wave. That's 2.5 waves of creeps that you would just lose out if you tried to stop Meteos from doing what he's doing with the Krugs. So that means OpTic can steal that one away, get themselves out. Really nice first 4 minutes of the game here from these guys. First 3 minutes, I should say, as that jungle invade got them 2 flashes and the kill to go with it. Let's see, mid lane Crown, what can you find here? Gets that paddle star right back onto Phoenix, who has to disengage a bit. And as you mentioned when we saw it locked in, Crown has had good Zoe games so far. This is one of the guys who can really pop off on this champion, and I want to see if those trouble bubbles line up this game for him.
Yeah, he's been able to find a lot of good angles. One of the big things with Zoe is some control wards around these long walls so that you can actually find a lot of the less used angles and catch people off guard. Let's see about this wraparound gank from Mike Young. He's headed up. This is possibly a counter gank, but Dokla's getting pretty far out.
Dokla dashing away, manages to get out of the way of the combo from Mike Young. Mike could have tried to use a flash there to still get the knockup, go flash for flash with Dokla, but didn't want to opt into that one. Instead, keeping summoner spells for both players. Dokla does lose a little bit of health there on the trade at least, so that'll help Lorlo out a bit up here.
And that is actually quite big, because what happens when OpTic goes for the continued invade there, you see in this blue side jungle, Meteos was able to take away 2 camps. The red buff, and then they saw him move down to the Krugs. So he got a high value out of that. Meanwhile, Mike Young only took the red buff out of OpTic's side. So Meteos has more camps, more territory to work with. He's already very far ahead in farm. Meteos now level 4 to Mike Young's level 3, who is now returning to his red side of the jungle, which only contains the Raptors.
One Raptor.
Yeah, one Raptor, which he left around to delay the spawn. So Meteos is absolutely destroying Mike Young in experience right now. And Olaf, as a jungler, just heads up 1-on-1 with Jarvan, is a huge advantage in power farming because you have the spammable undertow, and Midos is also going with the warrior build here.
Oh, Chad Olaf. All right, I'm about it.
Yeah, I like to see them swords, Captain Flowers. It's much more common now, and you get your warrior go into your black cleaver as well. High damage output Olaf. Definitely less survivability, but gonna have
Best survivability is when your opponent's dead. Then you don't got to worry about it. That's
There
how you
you go.
survive in League of Legends, and Meteos is doing a great job here early on. And honestly, that's what I want to see when you pick Olaf. I don't want to see a team pick Olaf and then just evenly farm with their opponent because of the way Olaf falls off later on in the game. Big binding here in the bottom lane. That's going to be plenty of damage down onto Hakuo. Meteos showing up now, trying to grab a little bit of extra damage, and he gets it. Flashing to find the damage point blank and then saving the axe for the post-flash. Well played by OpTic.
Midos has still got it. One of the original junglers of the LCS. Bounced around several teams, but he returns once again on Olaf. Flashes in for the guaranteed damage. Once he has that, the no-look axes over the shoulder.
That was cool. He just tossed it back. He was like, I don't need this one no more.
All right, let's see if round 2 here for Mike Young. Waiting in the brush works out. He's behind Dokla. He's waiting for the dash to be used.
We got the Q3 out of Dokla. Flash out from him, trying to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge, and he'll do so. Expends the ultimate, expends the summoner spell, so Echo Fox can at least say they claim those here. But with the jungler showing in the top side, Meteos says, all right, this is my opportunity to go for the Drake take.
I mean, this really is showing like some veteran status here for Meteos. He's absolutely destroying this whole match. Big difference as far as going for the invade and then playing off that advantage. He has not let up on the pressure, and it is affording so many advantages for OpTic. He's going to finish up the dragon by himself. Mike Young's camp on the top side has been absorbed by Dokla. Let's take another look at this bottom lane play. Hakuo goes in for the all-in, but really good response binding from Big, waits it out, and at that point, Meteos knows he can flash in for the Reckless Strike as well as the auto, and then that's plenty of damage already guaranteed. Lines up the axe for the kill.
And we've seen Lux picked so many times into Xayah and Rakan, or even just Rakan on his own, because of the fact that you can easily predict where he's going to be after his dash, land the light binding almost for free. It was Echo Fox who saw the bottom lane of OpTic and then opted to play Xayah Rakan into this, so they have to be expecting those kind of counterplays coming out when they try to engage.
And credit to Big, this one wasn't even after the dash. It was delayed. He waited out to see where Hakuo was going to walk and just nails him as he tries to walk back to safety. Then really good timing synced up with Meteos, so very good opening so far for OpTic. It's again still paying off down here as they get another turret plate.
Nice buffering there. Arrow making sure that he dashes out of the way with the Essence Flux, or Arcane Shift. That's the E. Always mix those two up there, but he gets out of the way of the Rakan initiation regardless, and that means that Arrow and Big are going to stay comfortable down here, moving up underneath the enemy turret, firing those auto attacks into the plates. A couple auto attacks off of the last one, but here comes Crown. Sleepy Trouble Bubble, unfortunately not going to find the mark, but it scares Echo Fox away enough to allow that third plate to go into OpTic pockets.
Yeah, I don't think Apollo and Hakuo are big fans of dodgeball. They've had skill shots being thrown at them all game long. And when a Zoe pops over the wall to continue and throw more of them, oh, Crown taking a dangerous route back to see if Mike Young finds them.
Crown's going to fire off that paddle star, but Mike Young ready and waiting. Flash away from Crown, making sure he stays alive there. That is the real flash. Always got to keep that considered from the Zoe, but man, Crown makes sure it's even at the end of the day, finding half of Phoenix's health with a quick wombo combo.
I was wondering if Phoenix was going to use the package to get away from that bubble landing, but he wants to save it, so he could make a big play with it. He took a lot of damage for saving it.
Well, he's going after Meteos now, flies right on top of him. Meteos gets himself out with a Ragnarok. And two different TPs showing up from OpTic. You'll call that a win if you're Echo Fox getting summoner spells like that.
Originally, you may be thinking, why aren't they committing to the kill? But two people pop out of that teleport ward. That leaves topside open, so Lorlo will get an extra turret play here for Echo Fox in exchange for Dokla saving Meteos there, channeling the teleport as well as Arrow using his.
And with that extra turret plate money, along with the fact that, look at the farm difference in the top lane. 90 for the Kennen versus 68 on the Aatrox. This top lane could be a real tipping point over the course of this game, especially as we get into the team fights and the larger skirmishes. If Kennen can show up a half item ahead of Aatrox and just blast everyone with a completed Hextech Gunblade, that could be the difference maker.
Yeah, Kennen does get that early CS lead. Early Crown could be under attack.
Crown gets the Drowsy off Sleepy Trouble. There's your stopwatch. Chop, chop, baby. Here comes Meteos. Mike Young's going to be outplayed too. OpTic's got themselves 2 kills already, and Big shows up to make sure the Vikings not going to be shut down yet. Flash still available here on Meteos. Big got the plays. OpTic's got the kill.
OpTic have all the answers, and it looks like Arrow is eyeing Apollo under this turret. Able to get another turret plate for himself. They're almost all the way through this thing. Aqua wraps around now, 2v1. Can they catch the Ezreal?
This is Ezreal with Flash up. I think the answer is probably no, but hey, what do I know? I'm not an AD carry player, and Arrow's not an alive one anymore. He's going back to the spawn platform the hard way, and that's Echo Fox getting themselves on the board as we take another look at how all these plays happen mid-game, mid-lane.
My goodness, this is just dirty. Crown lands the Sleepy Trouble bubble as the Valkyrie comes in, since it's a line, and immediately uses the stopwatch. Then Meteos is there with the Warrior build on. Olaf, he has enough damage to burst down Corki before there's any reaction. Bottom side, though, more action.
Bottom side, Big will stay plenty healthy thanks to the shield. And this is now 2 games of League of Legends in a row, Kobe, where we have seen plays turned on their head because people are not respecting time-telling devices.
All right, another Sleepy Trouble bubble does land there. Nap time, this time uninterrupted, so no extra burst damage. Phoenix will be fine. But a lot of this action, and especially that last play that was around mid lane, centered on Crown and Meteos. Been able to really take over. Dragon coming up next, and since Meteos has such a big lead, 2 levels in the jungle now for him. 80 CS to 51 there. This should be another objective controlled for OpTic. It's another tower about to go down too, as Arrow wants to finish up that turret plate while his support is going for an invade with Meteos.
And we've been talking about OpTic making these plays and having success so far, but just because I haven't brought up the actual overall lead yet, it's 4,500, and Dokla's about to slam Lorlo into the ground here top side. Lorlo does get himself away from that, but things are not looking good for Echo Fox. This is a beautiful early game from OpTic Gaming.
By the way, all the members of OpTic have been performing well. We're really focusing on Meteos and a lot of the jungle plays because those have been the big earners. But credit needs to be given to people who play weak side of the map.
Yeah.
Dokla has a losing matchup early on with the short-range Aatrox versus the Kennen, and he got camped by Mike Young. So let's see if he gets out of it one more time.
Speaking of which,
he got out of it 2 times before.
Let's see if he can outplay 1v2 here. Finds plenty of damage down on the Mike. Gets his wings from the World Ender, stepping away from the slicing maelstrom, but the stuns are coming through. Good lord, man! That's the downtown assist coming in from Arrow as Dokla goes right
he gets
a
a
double kill. OpTic could not be happier, and that is a tilter for Echo Fox.
Damn, boy, that was a good 2v1.
Oh, he's spamming the emote. You gotta do it again. You gotta give it to him like that.
Like we were just talking about, he's been camped all game long. He just absorbs all pressure from Mike Young. This time around, he's had enough, Flowers. He turns it around, gets both kills.
Weak side of the map no longer. Strong side's helping out this time. Take another look.
All right, he lands Q number 1 onto Lorlo. Count him. Q number 2 onto Mike Young. Both sweet spots, by the way. Q number 3, sweet spot number 3, lands the chain right as he gets stunned, kites out Lorlo's ultimate, then turns it around. The Ezreal ult from Arrow from downtown got him low enough, so Arrow got an assist. Then he can flash for another Q1 sweet spot. And Dokla absolutely playing League of Legends top lane without support from his team for the first 14 minutes.
I'm golf clapping for some immaculate accuracy from Arrow there too. Made sure he put it right in the good spot so that Dokla could put him there and make that extra damage happen. Comparison to turret plates, I mean, it's the same number if you take out one of the zeros, but when you include the 0, it's quite a difference between 1,600 and 160 gold between these teams. Just showcases exactly how far ahead OpTic are in this early game. And this is the OpTic Gaming that was at the top of the table for a while in the standings earlier on this split. This is what we wanted to see, talking about them being back in form.
Definitely looking very strong here versus Echo Fox. 7-1. Ginormous gold lead, by the way. And this is only 15 minutes into the game. It's already showing up in inventory with full completed items over their lane opponents right now. You can see on the bottom lane, especially because of all these turret plates, big discrepancy between Ezreal and Xayah in the damage output. Gold totals almost 2,000 ahead of most of the lane opponents. And OpTic are going for the invade. They're pushing it.
Bottom side, 1v1 coming out again. The chains are going to bring Lorlo back. And Dokla forces the flash away from him as he continues to dominate this bottom side of the map. And Kobe, I express concerns for this team of OpTic Gaming as we got out of Champion Select about their engaged potential with their draft. Same as I had for Clutch Gaming against TL. Clutch Gaming fell behind, they never had a chance. OpTic is so far ahead, this ability to zone everyone away and not need to directly engage feels like it's exactly what they need to continue pushing this team.
Yep, they're able to use the Rift Arrow here to continue the pressure. They're going to take down the last outer turret very shortly. Crown pushes in, and they're able to finish it out. Without this outer layer of defense, you can see already the vision for OpTic has moved up. They have multiple wards in the enemy jungle, trying to take away any sort of this territory for Echo Fox to farm. And that further decreases their income through this game. They're already completely starved here with an 8,000 gold lead 16 and a half minutes into the game.
500 gold per minute is one hell of a mountain to climb for the side of Echo Fox. Things are getting worse and worse as time moves forward, and OpTic are just pressing all the right buttons here so far.
This is what happens when you win your strong side of the map, which was bottom for OpTic, and the weak side with your outplay.
When you win the whole map, you win pretty hard. That's pretty true in League of Legends.
The secret to Summoner's Rift.
Just win the whole map. Just win 3 lanes and the jungle. Things are going to go pretty well for you. Crown here in the mid lane has the Proto Belt on that W for the Zoe. Not really any need to use it just yet. You can see Meteos waiting in the brush here, just hoping somebody is brave or stupid enough to walk into that bush. But everybody from Echo Fox knows the state of the game. They know their vision is limited. Their control over the map is next to none.
And you can see there, Meteos further starving the enemy team. He takes away the Raptors, taking away more possible gold sources as Dokla works away on the bottom turret. More minions getting denied.
Well, Lorlo's going to walk up and try to stop him, but quick little shock isn't going to do a whole lot as Dokla's just going to keep farming up the enemy jungle. That's even more resources normally that would go to the side of Echo Fox, now going the way of OpTic. Almost a 50 CS lead in the jungle of Meteos over Mike Young, who's really just not able to find any opportunities to pad his pockets. He's got a Cinder Hulk, and that's it. Meteos has most of the pieces of his cleaver already. Crown's finding plenty of damage onto Apollo, sends him right back to base. Trying to use the healing to get back up thanks to the refillable potion, but that won't do much.
Yeah, especially because of the 2 extra level leads. Your Cinder Hulk full tank, Mike Young Jarvan, sitting at 1522 HP. Meteos, however, on the Olaf with the damage build going into Cleaver second, is well over him with 1814 HP, finishing up another objective for the team. Full Dragon Control continues for OpTic.
No comparison between the stats on those guys, just because the economies mean Meteos has so much more to work with. Mid lane tier 2 under fire now as OpTic will continue firing off those Mystic shots towards Phoenix, thanks to Arrow, who still stacking that Mana Moon towards the Muramana completion. We'll probably see that one evolve here soon. Iceborne Gauntlet means it's going to be very difficult to get on top of this guy either. We're going to need some sort of big engage from the side of Echo Fox. Remember, last week we saw TSM versus Cloud9. We saw TSM play immaculate League of Legends for the first 15 minutes of the game, but it was Cloud9 who had the hard engage comp on this more post-zone type composition. They found a way to turn the game around, and Echo Fox will have to do something similar.
It is going to be a steep hill to climb here for Echo Fox, but they do need to do it off of some defensive positioning here. They're trying to get control wards down, but it gets dangerous even in the side lanes there. You can see Arrow in a 2v1 scenario chunks out 2 members of Echo Fox, and that means there's a discrepancy in pressure on the map. 2 members lose out on top side. That means he can rotate over to mid, and OpTic will be able to finish up this secondary turret.
And as this secondary turret goes down here, that's the first one to fall in that tier 2 lineup on the side of Echo Fox, who have no turrets picked up for themselves. Baron is coming online in 10 seconds, and the game becomes that much scarier for OpTic. Well, for Echo Fox, I should say, because OpTic could go for the Baron at any point. You have so many zone control tools. If you have to check into the fog of war as Echo Fox, you can find trouble bubbles, lux bindings, anything waiting on you.
Yeah, look at this full court press from OpTic. They have all 3 lanes pushed all the way up to the Echo Fox defenses here, and with Control War supporting them.
Oh, that was close.
This is, they're shooting fish in a barrel, but they're slowly making the barrel even smaller here. So you keep dodging for now, but there's going to be less and less room to work with. Mike Young actually goes towards Arrow, but they know if they don't get him with that knock-up, they can't continue.
Right, and Mike Young, yeah, he has a flash, but Arrow's got everything as well. He's also got plenty of teammates nearby. You have to save those resources as Echo Fox. It's going to come down to pretty much one big engage if they can find it. If they're missing out on one flash or one of those tools, could be the difference between winning and losing. They're down over 11,000 gold, 21 minutes into this game, 7-1. OpTic kept them to a single turret plate, the only piece of an objective they've acquired this entire time.
All right, for Echo Fox then, you have to play the super difficult game right now. I'd say bet on trying to leave a sneaky ward somewhere, because you do have 3 possible teleports. Lorlo is obviously the best one, but if you can catch some member of OpTic, you know, out of position away from the rest and have some teleports go in and you outnumber them, outnumbering your opponents is the only way that Echo Fox can find a way to get back in this game. You know, get some sneaky kills, get a little bit of gold back for themselves. And in order to do that, they've got to lead some of these wards lying in brush, like you see on your screen now. They've got a couple of good ones. Immediately getting picked up there, though, as OpTic clear them out. Those are the looks that you have to go for, though.
To put this lead into perspective, though, when we're talking about number differences and how much of the money might be missing, the most valuable person on the side of OpTic right now is either Dokla or Arrow. They both have about 9,800 gold. The lead is 11,000, so even if you take one guy out, there's still going to be more gold in the team fight on the side of OpTic Gaming, which means Echo Fox will probably need to outnumber them and have the package or something similar just to have a chance. It's really dire for these guys. OpTic now have control over the entirety of the top half of the map and the Echo Fox side of the jungle. Means Fox has to be so concerned about this Baron possibility. Two-shot barrage only finding its way onto Phoenix there. Arrow not afraid to continue stepping forward. Echo Fox thinking, when could we possibly have a chance to engage here? But they're not getting any windows just yet. OpTic on to the Baron, and they're only doing it with Meteos and Crown. They don't need the rest of everybody to be there the entire time. Arrow now going to be joining the mix to make sure they're able to clear it away in time. Dokla trying to zone Echo Fox out. Baron is secured. OpTic's not even injured. Dokla's going to be on the front line. There's your engage coming out from Echo Fox, but it is not what they need. They're trying to turn around with Lorlo, but he's immediately bursted down. The laser fires off, but it's not required. Meteos grabs a killing spree, and Echo Fox heads for the hills. There's no salvation from a gold lead like this, and they are cut to pieces. 5-0 OpTic Gaming, and they'll push for the win.
Echo Fox going down. That is a full wipe as OpTic have the run of the base. Baron buff in tow as well. And OpTic storm back in a big way.
23.5 minutes into this game. OpTic Gaming show you how to play some League of Legends. They get ahead early. They maintain control throughout the mid-game. They grab Baron as soon as it makes sense, and they end the game just like that, taking the win.
That was one of the most one-sided games we have had all split, Captain Flowers. 23:53 the game time as OpTic finished it off just before the 24-minute mark, grabbing the Baron, grabbing the full ace team fight, and the Nexus shortly after.
And nobody on the side of OpTic wasn't pulling their weight this time. Every single person, we talked about Dokla playing losing side, doing it wonderfully. Meteos and Crown working together to outplay in the mid lane. The bottom side of the map, Big dialing in those bindings, making sure he was able to land them to set things up so Arrow could be the carry he needed to be and hit those 4,000-meter true shot barrages to turn fights around. The entirety of OpTic Gaming was on their A game today.
Yeah, and honestly, it happened from minute one. They go for the invade. They have the Olaf and the Lux. They know have these really strong level 1 abilities. And even though the first pass at the invade didn't find anyone, they were able to get Phoenix on his second pass through and finish up the extra kill. From that moment, really good job snowballing it, continuing a counter invading, and not allowing Echo Fox any really area of the map to play off.
For OpTic fans, that is exactly what you want to see as we're getting closer and closer to the end of the split. But now we're going to send things down to Avli for an interview with the OpTic support.
Thanks, guys. Big congratulations on the win. And I just want to ask you, with the standings so close, how does it feel to have a completely dominating victory like that?
It feels good after like our past losses, actually, how we just throw all that time or we're not as strong as we should be.
Well, I mean, it's about to get way harder for OpTic because you guys are going to be playing all of the top teams above you in the standings. I think starting with TSM tomorrow, you got Team Liquid, you got CLG, and you got Cloud9. So do you guys feel safe about your playoff chances as of right now?
No, we're kind of worried, but I think that's what makes it better that we're playing these top teams, because if we make it into playoffs by being these top teams, we're just going to be so confident going into playoffs.
What would you say is the main source of that worry?
You know, I've not made it to playoffs so many times because of like some unfortunate event, the 9-9, you know? So that's the biggest worry for me.
Awesome. Well, you start with the game against TSM tomorrow. What are your expectations going into that game?
I think it's going to be, I hope it'll be good, and I won't play Zillany again.
What do you think about Sven and Smoothie? Because I think we saw Smoothie steal Baron on Tom Kench today.
I'm going to make sure that he's not able to do that tomorrow.
All right, not going to be able to do that again. Big thank you again, and congratulations again on the win. And to wrap up the day, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avali. OpTic Gaming picking up our 5th and final victory of the day again. The race for playoffs continuing to be made interesting by a lot of these squads vying for the best possible positioning. But we're going to dive right into Champion Select here because we got the 5th and final pick as Olaf for the side of OpTic. And immediately, while that might be a slightly peculiar last pick, it warps the way, or at least the approach, that OpTic is going to take within the early portions of the game. We're lucky enough to have an incredible mind of Broken Blade on the desk, so help me understand how it should be played with an Olaf in the early game.
Basically, Olaf is a champion that needs to get ahead early game to be useful later on in the game. And Meteos did a really good job with their bot lane, walking into the jungle, knowing they would win the level 1, and taking the bot side camps of Jarvan, and then Jarvan was able to take the rep off here from Olaf, which could be prevented if Olaf based earlier, but anyway, he got an advantage from level 1. You want to do that as Olaf, and this basically leads to Olaf having later on an uncontested buff, which was, in this case, the Drake.
Right.
I think that Olaf could have taken the red first, the second red of Jarvan, and then did the Drake after that.
So this is that moment you're talking about here.
He could have taken the red. It's about to spawn in like 10 to 20 seconds. Take the red, and then take the Drake uncontested. This is still a really good play from Meteos, taking advantage of his early game champion, of his last pick. I really liked the way how Meteos played Olaf. It was how you needed to play that champ. It's basically like Jace, you want to play around that champion. If you don't play around that champion, it's not as strong. And here Meteos showed us a very good Olaf game.
I think he goes for the dragon because his bottom lane was base. So he's like, well, if I can't go into the red buff and have the safety of my lanes here, I might as well sneak the dragon in while I can. So he's got 2 options and goes for the worst of the 2 at the time, which is still a net positive, choice, like Broken is saying.
Yeah, I mean, and this is kind of how a lot of OpTic's games are won, is through Meteos' playmaking. That's why he kind of has earned last pick in the jungle and is able to use it well here. And he has, good CSDs, good kills and assists early on, big gold differential. The problem is when you put it up against Echo Fox, they are in the most dire of jungle situations. They have 0 kills and assists in 15 minutes.
With
in
Mike Young, over
5
5
Mike
games.
Young games.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put this all on Mike Young because he was one of the critical factors of TLA doing well in Academy. So, like, this is not a Mike Young problem, but it's just saying, like, this is probably the most exploitable team in the league right now for Meteos, and he absolutely trashed them this game.
I've been casting the Academy games, and in there, TLA right now is still struggling to recover from the absence of Mike Young. He was a very prominent shot caller in the team, so he had great synergy, but it took a while to build up that synergy, right? They were a third-place team in spring, which says quite a bit, right? There's a good accomplishment there. It's not like that's a weak league. There's someday in it. So the fact that right now they're struggling, to me, is just a symptom of the overall problems that Echo Fox has, and it just so happens that Mike Young was plunged right into it.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting to hear the perspective from you about how certain advantages, well, again, to our eyes, we see 2.5K gold advantage for Meteos. We go, that was wonderfully well done, but there are still those little bits, those little tweaks that you can make to even find a more perfect early game. All in all, that kind of a lead built by OpTic Gaming makes the rest of the game that much easier to pilot. They've done what they need to do as their draft demanded with building an early game lead, and from there they can win a bunch of fights. Of course, really slick counter ganks in the mid help.
God, I wish we started this a little bit earlier. He has no ultimate for Mike Young. He EQs into the brush to start setting this gank up, and then Phoenix just Valkyries on top of the Zoe. So Mike Young has nothing to do, but he flashed W's. He's trying to be like, well, I'm with you, Phoenix. I'll follow your play. But
I like the commitment.
This complete lack of synergy is like why they have no kills with him at 15 minutes. And it's not like Mike Young was like, let's go now, I'm sure.
What should happen is he combos in and you wait for the flag to be back up so that he can combo in and wait for the play so that you have the abilities.
Right, yeah, just a complete misexecution there. But you roll that forward, right? Again, all in all, misexecution from Echo Fox, great awareness from OpTic to get in there and counter gank it. But with this massive lead in the early snowball, they've played entirely to their win conditions. Every fight beyond that is going to be an easy win.
Yeah, also on that play in mid lane with the Jarvan and Cannon TPing in, he lost 3 plays, which caused the winning matchup against Aatrox to now lose. And Dogda played really well this game on the weak side and in team fights, made really good use of Aatrox, and yeah, just had a really good performance in my opinion.
Yeah, he was able to get a 1v2 double kill in the top lane, and then with that lead, starts snowballing through this fight after the Barons. He's the one flashing forward and setting up more kills. And like you said, this is just a clean snowball all the way through. I'm sure if we get to see the gold graph, it'll be just one of those, you know, straight lines up into the
vertical leap right there.
Very pretty, exactly the kind of game you want to be in. I want to jump back to your point around the TP there and how it can affect a winning matchup. I think so often it's tough for non-top laners to understand what it means to be on that island of top lane and the sacrifice that a TP, you know, or the effect a single TP can have on the flow of the game from the top lane. And from, you know, from game to game, or in this example, we all of a sudden see a Dokla who's now powerful enough to 2v1 or even 1v3. But talk to me about how those decisions are made, at least within the context of TSM. You know, when looking to set up a play, what are you willing to sacrifice for what advantages?
It all depends on how the way you draft, right? In this case, Cannon is a pick that needs to win against Aatrox to contain him in the late game as well, because you're winning 1v1. You can get advantages 1v1, take tower plates, and get wards into the enemy jungle. But by giving up TP advantage and losing plates, while Aatrox was pushing already, and dying while you're TPing it's a disaster basically. And you don't want this ever to happen. And this was also well played by Dota. He didn't TP as well. And after that, even after losing the mid fight, they have the TP advantage and can make the next play on the bottom lane without getting contested by Cannon in this case. Yeah, because they have TP advantage now, and Aatrox has full control of the lane as well, which causes Cannon not to be able to take advantage since now that he's losing the lane, and was just very well played by Dota.
Now, for Echo Fox, the struggles continue. For the side of OpTic, they kind of sit in a precarious position where, yes, they're in contention for a playoff position, but their schedule from this point out is not necessarily the easiest. They're playing you guys tomorrow, so I want to get your opinion on that. But before we do, I want to talk to you two and maybe get a sense from you on what it is that's keeping OpTic from being a 4th or higher team, let's say, as opposed to a 5-6 team?
I think it's the confidence, really. The fact that the team got the win today in under 24 minutes is going to go a long ways for getting them up to the playoff standard that we had for them. I mean, this team started 5-0 at the beginning of the split, so they definitely are capable of being very good. But, you know, we have Broken Blade here, and he's looking at a lot of opportunities that Dokla could have gone for further that are a matter of confidence, right? He's looking at it, I have the confidence to go for like a 1v2 or turn these plays. And similarly in the bottom lane, if you can see these plays with the confidence that I can turn it around, then you have way more at your disposal. You can be much more explosive.
Yeah, there was an example where it was 2 level 5 top lane and jungler going up against the level 6 Aatrox in a minion wave, and you know Dokla goes and runs.
He flash runs.
Flash runs away. Broken Blade's like, I'm fighting that. You know, like I think that's one of the things that they can improve on is being a little bit more confident and aggressive.
All right, so Meteos and Dokla, if you're listening, tomorrow when you're both level 5 and he's level 6, I need you to go challenge him to a 2v1 and let's see if he let's see if he stands up to it. Yeah, exactly that. Let's get a look at the standings though as the day comes to a close. Liquid, they're going to keep their hold on first place, followed by C9, just 1 game back. Sharing third with 8 wins at CLG and TSM. Let's see how you all did in the predictions game today.
We did fantastic.
Easy peasy. Everyone's in alignment. 5 wins across the board. StatSpot, though, still 1 ahead of you guys in the season-long totals.
StatSpot always chokes. I'm not worried.
Okay.
I don't know if that's
See
true.
about that.
Let's not go back.
Let's take a look, though, at what games we have coming up tomorrow. The day kicks off with LCS Countdown, where we will shine a spotlight on the top lane. That includes you, my friend Broken Blade, and I'll share my visit to the CLG training facility. It was an absolute treat. Game 1, though, Golden Guardians aim to take down Team Liquid, followed by Counterlogic Gaming versus Cloud9. Then 3 more matches before Jat makes his debut on LCS Cooldown alongside Mike, Tempo Young, and Lorlo, with our Academy showcase between FlyQuest and Counterlogic Gaming Academy to wrap up the weekend. Now I return to you. TSM versus OpTic Gaming. Broken Blade, talk to me about that matchup, your confidence level going into it.
Honestly, I think OpTic is a kind of team that plays a lot around their mid jungle. Meteos kind of has this kind of leader character in that team, and I think if you contain Meteos, it's gonna be quite an easy game.
All about the jungle matchup, so it will be on Acadian to help do that.
I hope it's an easy game. I bought their stock today.
That's
for
true.
The next
That's true.
2
Mark
weeks,
is
so
hard on the
guys
TSM
better win.
train right now. Of the other matchups that we have, though, outside of TSM and OpTic, anything particular you guys are looking at?
I think it was Cloud9 against CLG. That looked
CLG, that's a big one.
interesting, right? You got a battle for the very top of the standings, and
They are 1 game behind TL, but it's kind of that challenge game.
it's one of those that you could definitely see a world where Cloud9 gets a little frisky early and suddenly, CLG took the game around. So I think that that's one that is going to be really spicy, but at the same time, you know, Sven Skaren could just show up and suddenly, okay, game's over in like 10 minutes.
I'm gonna flip us over to the standings here. Broken Blade, who do you think would be the dark horse here of the four teams in the bottom 4? Clutch, 100 Thieves, FlyQuest, Echo Fox. Which one has the best opportunity to challenge the top 6 and maybe steal a playoff spot?
I think probably 100 Thieves.
Okay.
They are looking.
He bought their stock. So.
They're definitely looking better, and the other bottom tier teams, they're still looking more shaky than the 100 Thieves. I think 100 Thieves kind of is trying to find their identity, and they're going that way, and they have a chance to challenge the top tier teams. I think.
Big vote of confidence for 100 Thieves as they head into a matchup against FlyQuest tomorrow. If today's games, though, had you itching for more action, stay tuned for the LEC rebroadcast going live after the show. With that, I got to thank you, Broken Blade, for joining us here for the final 2 games of the day and all your insights. But now for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more of the LCS. Good night.